Well, hello, welcome everyone. This is Abigail speaking. Thank you for being with us today in a new session of the International Coaching Summit. First of all, I would like to ask you to raise your hands to let us know that you can hear us properly and that you can see the slide, the PowerPoint slide, so we know we are ready to start. Okay, good, great. Anybody else that can raise their hands? I see a few attendants that didn't yet. Okay, good, great. Okay, thank you so much. And then, so I will be here in case you need anything. You can type a message on the questions box, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, and I will help you out. Okay, so we are ready to start. So without any further ado, let me introduce Lars-Erik Junestal. Hello, Lars-Erik. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, and welcome to the webinar today, October 20, in a part of the ICC Summit. And my topic is inner and outer peace, and I will also talk about breaking borders. So breaking borders will be one part of the inner and outer peace project. And when we come into breaking borders, I will look into take away borders between mind and body, between inside the mind itself, for instance, borders between thoughts and images, or between thought, images, and emotions. There are mental borders of different kinds, has to do with among other things, limiting goals and beliefs. We have borders between an old way of looking at things and new ways. And there is a border between knowledge and competence, which is very important. And finally, we have borders between people, and we have borders between countries. So we will come back to that. But I want to start with the peace concept and the peace project. The project I have is one together with the government in North Iraq, in Kurdistan. And the goal has been to use mental training for getting a higher life quality for everyone. So we're trying to reach everyone, and also we use combination of mental training and coaching. And it's called mental training for peace, from inner peace to outer peace. And very shortly about the project first, before we go into the concept of peace. It started with I have one mental trainer, which also ICC coach, who is from there, and have translated many of my books and programs to Kurdish. And it started to evoke interest among the government, especially in the health government. So we decided to start a project which we have had 2 conferences so far, and the last one was half a year ago, or last fall. And we decided that conference to train key personnel in mental training, and we are giving through ICC webinars in mental training to become mental training practitioner. And there is 25 people from Kurdistan who take part in that webinars. We should have the last webinar today, but we will have it next week instead. So it has gone on since January. The two main parts of the peace project is, of course, to define what do we mean with peace, make it clear and measurable, and starting with the peaceful mind and body, and go over then to with the goal of global peace, country peace, and global peace. The mentor training has the vision of a better world, and coaching has, as you know, the ICC vision, coaching the world, so it fits good into that project. This is a combination of mentor training and coaching. Mentor training and coaching can be combined in many different ways. Mentor training can come into the different parts of the coaching structure and make the intellectual goals more programmed into the brain by using goal images in the mentor room. There are problem-solving methods in the mentor training that can be used in coaching. In finding new ways, we can use the mentor training creativity methods. But resources is not only resource detection or resource identification, we can also use mentor training for resource development. And the big area is tasking, to have a combination of working with mentor training with either self-coaching or having a coach who are coaching the mentor training. The vision, a peaceful world. A vision is lifelong, it shows the direction, provide inspiration, motivation, energy, and not at least meaningfulness. Steps toward a peaceful world. We use the developmental model, small steps with continual improvements, and starting with the inner world, with the mental processes, reactions, attitudes, values, and looking for what is the state of inner peace. And we will look a little more into that. Usually inner peace is regarded as a state of being, not a temporary state, but a state of being. And it has connection with both the mental and spiritual side of the human being. Some define peace as an opposite to stress, negative stress, and to be strong even if there are stressful surroundings. It is regarded to be healthy because peace and homeostasis belongs together. The natural power in the body for healing and health. It's connected with other feelings like happiness, contentment. It also kind of stress immunity regarded. If we are at peace, we don't have to cope with stress. It cannot reach us. And then there is another way of looking at peace also in some cultures where peace and consciousness has been together, and peace has been regarded as an alternative state of consciousness, sometimes called enlightenment. If we look at for instance, Zen meditation. And all this has a lot to do with Buddhism. If we look at Dalai Lama as a representative for that, he means that it's only through inner peace that we can reach peace in the world, we must first create an atmosphere of peace inside ourselves, and then gradually expand it to include families, communities, and ultimately the whole planet. So, if you look at the concept of peace, we have the universal peace, harmony concept, and I will come back to that in relation to section divine. We have a peaceful body, peaceful mind, peace between people, peace between countries, and a peaceful world. In the peaceful concept, there is 1.6, which is a very important concept. The ratio of peace, or the golden number, section divine. And I got interested in that many years ago, and I have been fascinated to see how much in the world which is relating to this concept 1.6, which stands for peace, for balance, for beauty and harmony, and where we think it has been on since the Big Bang. It was there in the pyramids when they were built in the Greek temple. Plato said it's the most fascinating of all mathematical relation, and it's the key to cosmos physics. There's a lot of buildings around the world who are built on this concept, ratio. We have it everywhere in our life, everyday products. Whatever we take up a credit card or a license, it has this relation 1 to 1.6. In the body, there is it everywhere. Hundreds of relations in the body, which has this relation 1 to 1.6. We have it in the face in a different way, and some time ago I was asked in the national TV program in Sweden to measure the face among the two program leaders to see who was the most harmonic and peaceful face. There is the only thing which is universal in terms of beauty. It's in the nature, in the animal world, everywhere, in quantum physics, in the DNA code, and in also in the solar system. We have a lot of relations there. And finally, just to take one more example, when NASA decided to send out the result from their new instrument measuring the background radiation some years ago, the researchers after half a year analysis found that the whole universe was based on section divine, on this concept. We have it in the music, of course, and that's why we decided to also make music based on this notion. And this is only one record we have made, and it's the only one in the world. And when we have investigated the effect of this music, we have found very interesting effects on people who are listening to this music. They report a very peaceful and harmonious state coming from the music. When we looked into to see what brain state is connected with this peace of mind, we found that when we were in the inner mental room, where you can feel very intensive peace and harmony and rest, we found that when we measure the EEG, that the ratio between the different frequencies of EEG was related to the concept of section divine. And we call it the peaceful brain state. and then we found another state, peaceful brain state 2, which is, the first was the harmonic brain state, and this is the holistic brain state, where the basic EEG level is the same in all 4 quadrants of the brain. So in the middle here you see the inner mental room, and you can see that the normal dominance of the left brain disappear. After awakening, we have a dominant of the right brain during around 7 minutes. But during this state, holistic state, we are very receptive for holistic things like images. And that's maybe one reason why images are working so forcefully in the mental room. Here we can see one example from an archery shooter, and you can see left brain red, the right brain. Left brain is more active, and the purple is the optimal zone of performance. But if you compare this with the world champion, world record holder, which is her sister, you can see that there is a difference. 10 seconds before the shots, there is the same situation as her sister, with the more active left brain. But during the last 10 seconds, there is an integration of left and right brain. So when the shots are coming, they are on the same level and inside the optimal zone of performance. And if you ask her, how do you know when you are going to shoot? She would say, I don't know, but my body knows. The shot will come by itself when my body is ready. So here we have the flow concept. The peaceful body. We have peaceful breathing, we have peaceful heart rate variability, peaceful muscle works, peaceful stress reactions, peaceful psychoneuroimmunology, and peaceful anti-aging and rejuvenation. Breathing, if you look at your frequency now, it's not sure it's between 7 and 14. Often it's a little above, and especially when you got stress or activated, it will increase the more. So frequency has to do with the state, of course, as you know, and also the quality, going from breast to belly breathing. Optimal breathing, what is that? Yes, I think it could have to do with the golden ratio. We don't know yet. We are investigating that now. But we know that exhaling should be longer than inhaling for the optimal breathing. So talking about the section divine concept, one suggestion should be that inhaling is you count to 5, exhaling count to 8, and then break between X and in for 3. 3, 5, 8 has this section divine connection. Heart rate, we measure frequency of heartbeats, of course. As you know, it has to do with activation, but also the quality, the heart rate variability, which is a harmonic shift between gas and brake. Because the distance between each heart rate is not the same. It's different. And by looking at the differences, we can see the regularity and the harmony of the heart rate. So that's what we look into to see how heart is related to peaceful state. But also we looked into the section divine and could see that when you are in harmony and in peace, then the distance between the big peak and little peak is 1, and the little peak to the next big peak is 1.6, which is section divine. Other things which has to do with the peaceful body has been to reduce cortisol, which is a hormone that measures stress. Also free fat acids. Also look at the immunology. I will not go through all these things, but many of these things has to do with that a peaceful state increase the homeostatic processes. But very shortly, peaceful muscle work has to do with that the synergist muscles is in the right relation to the antagonist muscles. So optimal state is activation in the synergist muscle and relaxation in the antagonist muscle. And there is no word in English for that, so I have composed a new word, relaxance, which is this combination of tension and relaxation. Peaceful stress reaction. To point out the positive stress. And we can have a peaceful stress situation or stress state. Recovery has to do with a lot to do just to make stress temporary and related to the situation demand. We have this state with only released situation released muscle tension, but without basic muscle tension. And we have a state where a peaceful state, the parasympathicus, can be a base also for sympathicus activated state. So in the mental training we try to get a peaceful state of calmness, security, safety into the belly as a base for all other emotions. And then other emotions will be colored by this basic peaceful state. And we will experience the other emotions different because we have this basic state. Focusing has been an important part to create a peaceful mind and a peaceful body. By, for instance, focusing on the peace events in the past and bring these feelings into present and into future situations by a conditioning process, using the past as a resource. One example of that was a project with tinnitus at one university hospital, where I could show that 4 months of training they didn't get rid of the sound, but they got rid of the problem. They could focus on other things than the sound. They put the sound in the back of their head and was not aware anymore of the sound until they decided to be aware about it. So normally they could be aware about other states than this stressful, negative stressful state with the sound. Another study with 300 cancer patients, we got the same result, where we divided them into experiment and control group, and where both of them got the same medical treatment, but the experimental group also got a training program which produced feeling of peace, harmony and joy, and also having a positive goal image and we got lower mortality in that group. So the combination of the medical treatment and this peaceful state had an impact on the result. Yeah, we have got a lot of similar things in other areas. Let me just mention like immunology. Here is I had a project with Russian researchers for 10 years, and one of the studies was to look into Russian athletes, and we could show that with positive emotions we could raise the effectiveness of the immune system. We know from before that stress, negative stress and depression decrease the efficiency of the immune system. But before this study we haven't known if we could increase the efficiency and effectiveness by inducing a special state of peace and positive emotions. This study was made with two groups, one control group and one experimental group. They were experimental group were training, mental training for 6 months. The controls didn't train. We measured different hormones, among other things, DHEAS and cortisol. We saw that the cortisol went down in the experimental group, and then we saw that the DHEAS went up, and DHEAS is a sign of biological age. By measuring the level of DHEAS at a certain time, we can decide how old are you in real. I mean, if you say you are 40, you are 30, you are 50 years, it doesn't say anything about the biological age. You can be much higher or much lower in biological age compared with chronological age. And what we could see here was that the experimental group got 7 years younger during these 6 months training. So biological, they went down 7 years. The controls continued to become older. And when the newspapers in Sweden wrote about this study, then they phoned me and asked, what can be the reason that you can be younger with mental training? And I said that one reason is, of course, that also this negative stress goes down. You can see that on the cortisol. And stress and aging belongs together. And then they said, do you have an example? And I said, take any politicians. And then in the newspaper they had this picture of Tony Blair before the Iraq War and 3 years later. So when you look at this picture, it's only 3 years difference between these two pictures. And you could believe that it's 10, 20 years. And to the right you have an example from Marie Antoinette. And if you know your history, you heard that her hair went white during one single night during the French Revolution. So during intensive stress, we can age very fast. But as I said, for the first time now we have shown that mental training can even make people younger. And many people have started mental training in Sweden after that study. Peaceful mind. We have peaceful thoughts, peaceful images, peaceful feelings, peaceful past, peaceful future, peaceful present. And then we have a control system which has to do with peace. peaceful thoughts is not any idea to tell someone, think peacefully. Even if you want to think peacefully, you cannot do that if you don't learn how to control your thoughts. It's often the opposite, and I showed early in one investigation that when I asked people to choose between positive and negative thoughts, they choose the positive. But when I asked them which of these two catch your mind more easily, the majority said the negative thoughts. So normally it seems like we human beings get more caught by negative thoughts than positive. So then I looked into the reason for that, and besides on all the survival mechanisms, there seems to be two reasons. One was that we made the problem, the negative, more clear, more concrete than the positive. You know, every day in the newspapers, in the TV, in the mass media, you have problems, problems, problems from morning to evenings, and very little is positive. I had a course for the national television Channel 4 before they started, and when we talked about that, they promised to have at least one positive news in every news program, and they kept it for the first 2 years, but now it seems to have gone away, even that. And this is of course very little, one of all. So we are brainwashed with the problems, and this is the same in research. We have a misery research when we look into negative things, problems. So in the coaching and mental training, what do? We go very quickly from problems to solutions, and we make the goals very concrete and very clear in order to be caught by the positive things instead of the negative. And the third reason seems to be the emotional content, that we if we have a strong negative, if we have a strong emotion in a thought, it catches our mind. And negative emotion seems to be stronger than positive. So what do we do about that in coaching and mental training? First, we try to make the goals very attractive. And that's why I try to take away the R in SMART, and I don't use SMART anymore because it has to be realistic goals, and realistic goals is often too low. It's not enough emotional. So by taking that away and having brave and very attractive goals, we get this very strong emotional content in our thoughts and images. And if we at the same time try to decrease the negative part of the thinking and the images, then of course we will get caught by the wanted things. And how do we decrease the negative thoughts? Here I have some proposals. The third one was what I talked about, making the positive very clear and with a strong inner peace emotional component. The second here, the first one is a kind of mindfulness method, which we also use in mental training, that you have no receiver for a thought. You can let a thought come, you can look at it, and you can let it go. but you don't receive it, you don't react on it, you don't evaluate it. Coming and going. Another method is to breaking the connection between the thoughts and the feelings by desensitization, for instance. If we are worrying for something, and desensitization takes too long to go into, but I think you know already this old method where you create a very calm and peaceful state, for instance in the elemental room, and then you introduce the things that you are afraid of or worry for, and you break the connection and you create a new relation between the phobic situation, for instance, and the feelings of calmness and peacefulness. Another method is humor. You can destroy the emotive meaning by using tone, for instance. If you have a thought, I am worthless, and this thought comes back time after time, you try to get rid of that, but the more you try to get rid of that, it comes back more and more. So instead, you can do what I said before. You can have no receiver, you can let it come, let it go. Or you can, in this humorous way, pronounce I'm worthless in a humorous way. Like, I am worthless, I am worthless, I am worthless. If you do that during 2-3 minutes, you will feel a difference in your feelings for this sentence, I'm worthless. Or you can even sing, I am worthless, ha ha, I am worthless, ha ha, I am worthless, ha ha ha, I am worthless, ha ha. So there are different ways of breaking the negative emotional part of a thought in order to get more control. There is relations between thoughts, images, emotions and behavior which can be used. So, for instance, creating a feeling of peacefulness by relaxation and going into different situations in imagery which you have had a peaceful state before. You can also use the without reason model. We have used it, as you know, in the laughing area. All these laughing clubs or yoga laughing yoga, which started in India and has spread around the world. Laughing without reason. We start to laugh and the feelings comes when we have started to laugh. But we don't need a reason to start laughing. You can do the same with happiness. And we can do the same with peace. Without reason, we can create a peaceful state. We don't need a peaceful situation around us in order to create that. We have a peaceful system of control. This is an alternative control system, very different from DSC, which is something I call the dominant control system. What is that? It's mainly the voluntary effort. You try hard. And as you know, DSC or trying has the opposite effect in many areas, like going to sleep, focusing, even physical strengths, happiness. If you try to become happy, you will not be happy. And there are many, getting pregnant, it's interesting. A funny thing happened some time ago. I was going to speak for an audience of about 300 people, and the introducer who should introduce me came up and started to say, "I have an important message. The woman has just phoned me and told me that Lars-Erik Unestål had made her pregnant." And then he stopped. He made a long break. I didn't know what he meant, and also the audience started to whisper and wonder, what is this? And then he continued after a very long break and said, "Oh, it's not so dangerous as it sounds. This woman phoned from the hospital and wanted to thank Unestål because she had tried to be pregnant for years and had given up, and then she started mental training and she got pregnant." And we have many such examples from Sweden that it seems like trying hard here also make it more difficult to become pregnant. So how do we use the alternative system of control?
How long would you need?
About 20 minutes.
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. Okay, let's continue then. Can I continue?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about this break. I don't know what happened on the way from here to you. But anyway, let's continue and finish the website with some of the borders. And the third one of the 7 was the mental borders that we have going from in the positive psychology, from the learned helplessness over to optimism and over to happiness, and now well-being research. In the mental training, I take away the SMART because R is realistic, and instead of using the measurement, attractive, and the controllable goals, where you have the going from goal to the resources instead of base the goals on the resources. Because if you base the goal on the resources that you think you have, the goals are often much too low and not so attractive that they are needed to do in order to catch our mind. So that's why I take away the R in SMART. Also going from intellectual goals to goal programming. It's a kind of cybernetic model where when the goals are programmed into the brain, then it starts to affect the automaticity of life, which is 80–90% of our daily living. So it seems like a lot of resources will be directed to the goals without having to think about it. And this is a very nice complement to the normal way of reaching goals, where you make a goal planning, and you start from the beginning, take one step at a time. The belief system also could be changed, and we have this example from Sweden where one of the worst classes in school became one of the 3 best classes in Sweden in 4 months. And this project is a fantastic, unique example, has not been done anywhere else, to show that if you change the students' belief system, believe in themselves and the resources they have, then you can go from being the lowest in Sweden to the highest in 4 months. When they made this TV program, it became the most seen TV program in Sweden 2 years ago. The goal-directed resources. Michael is an ICC coach, and he is an also national speaker who gather a big audience every time, because he shows that if you don't look at your resources first and then put your goals then, instead of the opposite, make the goals first and then you will develop the resources you need to reach the goal. I used to play table tennis with him, and when people say, how is it possible to play table tennis without arms and legs? He will answer, I don't play table tennis without arms and legs. I play with my cheek and shoulder. I use what I have and reach the goals. Here's another challenge seeker and barrier breaker, David Lega. He is the only Swedish who have got the Outstanding Young Person of the World 2005. He is now a vice party leader of the political party in Sweden and so on. You have the borders between the old and the new. Of course, you know about the psychology, who went from being negative 150 years to positive from 1998 with Seligman, looking for the good things in life instead of investigating what you don't want to have. Going from knowledge to competence has been a very important thing for me, as knowledge has been a god before in Sweden. We have had a lot of campaigns to raise the knowledge level. But knowledge is to know, competition is, or competence is how we handle life. And there is almost no relation between how we succeed in school and how we succeed in life. So it has been very important to bring knowledge over to competence by what I call PAT, practice, application and training. But there are also direct lines from information to competence without even having knowledge. You can see that in sport, where the thinking of something which you know can decrease the competitive result. And if you look at social competence and emotional competence, which is more important now when you ask for a job than your remarks from the school. Many employers don't look at the remarks when someone is looking for a job. So in recruiting, they are looking more of competence, social, emotional, and so on. And in spite of that, we don't have any formal education in life competence development. So when we started with the life skill training in the school system in Sweden, it became very popular because people understood that what is more important when you come out in life is life competence, and not only knowledge. From therapy to coaching, I don't have to say much about that. You know a lot about that. From automatic to awareness in mindfulness, However, not to change all automatics. The good automatic is important to have. The automaticity can serve you very well and save energy. So it's just the negative automatic we have to change and make positive automatic. And the way of doing that is to be aware about this first on the way to the automaticity, the good automaticity. From external to internal success, I have been showing that success external has very little to do with internal success of happiness and harmony and peace. So we don't have to wait to get internal success until we have got external success, because they don't follow on each other. We can start direct with internal success. From clinical to developmental models has been an important part to look at. If you focus on problems, we get more problems. If you focus on development, on the solutions, you get more solutions. So this continuous development, Kaizen way of looking at life has been important. From the old to the new lifestyle, from teaching to learning, from theoretical to action learning, talking to doing, knowledge to skills, outside to insight. Making the past to a friend instead of the psychoanalytic analytic notion that we have the past is mostly full of, and the unconscious is mostly full of problems. Make the past to a friend, see the unconscious as a gold mine and treasure chest. Experience that your inner mind wants the best for you. Identify the things and resources you want more of. Connect the experience of positive memories to a trigger. Use automated and if needed triggers. Use the false memory concept to create a happy childhood. I have a good friend who wrote a book, It's Never Too Late to Get a Happy Childhood. And with the new research about memory as a construction, why shouldn't we make a happy childhood for every one of us? Because it will help us in life instead of the opposite. Life as a do-it-yourself project, creating our own peaceful and happy future. And I will not go through the things here more than create memories of the future, which is a very interesting concept. This is the excellent model instead of the clinical model. Continuous development of inner and outer peace. Difference between the clinical and developmental models. Then we have the borders between knowledge and competence, as I said, and I already talked about that, so let's leave that. Just say that the goal of education seems to be personal development according to the Swedish university law. And that's why we also have university courses in mental training, as this is personal development is the goal of all education. The new lifestyle, we have got more wellness or well-being. Sorry, should be more well-being but less, more wellness but less well-being. We have got more wellness but less well-being. We have more knowledge but less competence. We have more medicine, less health. More leisure time but less freedom. Bigger houses but less families. Increase of external values but decrease of internal values. Increased spending but decreased pleasure. We have explored the universe but not the mind. We have reached the moon but not our neighbor. We hate too much and love too little. But it's not too late to choose a new lifestyle. And based on this, I wrote a book called The New Lifestyle. And I've tried to show the right things, the right parts of this things that you see on this page. Borders between people. One thing has to be to get rid of the notion true, false, and right, wrong, and replace them with good and bad. We could talk a lot about truth and finding the right things, but as the reality is a constructed thing, the reality is changed when we try to reach it, according to Heisenberg. And Einstein and Bohr both said that we don't know if reality exists, the real reality. But even if it exists, we cannot reach it. So all of us are living in a subjective reality state. And why should I believe that I am right and the other is wrong? Instead of being more humble and try to find the best things for me and for all of us. So replacing right with good has been an important part in order to break borders between people. Because many conflicts in the world has to do with I'm right and you are wrong. And if we can get rid of that notion, then it should be much more easy to create peace between people. Another thing is to use differences as strengths. Another conflict is that we are different. And instead of being irritated and hate other people because of the differences, we are trying to use it as strengths. This method has been very interesting to work with in team building. Seeing things from other people's perspectives, you know, the perceptual positions in coaching and training. The ABC of training for team excellence, shared and attractive goals. If we know that we work for the same goals, then it's more easy to create unity and peace. Optimal cooperation as a difference as strengths, positive feedback. We have gone in training to try to use only positive feedback, not negative, with a very interesting result. The national coach now in soccer has used the mental training for just deliver positive feedback without any negative feedback, with very interesting results. Effective communication and team spirit. Here is an example of team building, which we hope that can be something for the future, to create dream teams of so different people, like you see here. Borders between countries is the last one. And let me be very radical and say that the best should be to get rid of all countries and nationalism, create new areas with people with the same ideas, and have local issues decided by the local governments and general issues by the world government. So a borderless and peaceful world, getting rid of all unnatural borders, because most borders are unnatural, has been drawn up after war and so on. Having local identity in global togetherness. Overall central decisions in combination with local people's democracy. Fair distribution of the earth resources, togetherness that open up to collaboration. This is the vision of a peaceful world. And let us look at the world not as it has been, not as it is now, but as you want it to become. And let me say there is only one citizen, the world citizen. Only one race, the human race. Only one language, language of the heart. Only one religion, religion of love. Only one God, the universal energy. And I'm sometimes asked of a journalist, do you believe in God? And I say, I don't believe in God because I don't have to believe, because I know He exists. And they say, how do you know that He exists? And I said, it's very easy, simple. God is not a human being up there. It's a concept of the universal energy. And of course, it's only one God. But as this is a part of the real reality, which is outside the human reality, it's not bound by time and space. We cannot connect with that real reality. But some people has done that in an alternative state of consciousness, like Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and so on. But then the problem is when they shall describe God for us, then they have to use language, and then they are down in the borders of space and time. So the descriptions in different languages will be different. But instead of, as I say, I'm glad that I am reached God through Christianity, and I'm glad that you have reached God through Islam. Instead, you kill another person because he doesn't have your way. So if you understand there's only one God, there's different ways to that God, then it will be more easy to create a peaceful society. And gratefulness has been an important part of the peaceful mind. And let me just finish with one thing that talk for itself about the situation in the world and how we can be grateful. If you have money in the bank, some money in your wallet, you are among the richest in the world. If you wake up this morning more healthy than sick, you are better off than the 1 million people that won't live through this week. If you have never experienced the horrors of war, solitude of captivity, the agony of torture, or the suffering, then you are very lucky. If you can go to your church without being harassed, arrested, tortured, or killed, you are more fortunate than 3 billion people in the world. If your parents are alive and still married, you are rare in many countries. If you hold your head up high with a smile and are grateful, then you are fortunate, since many people who have reasons to show gratitude don't do that. If you can hold someone's hand, hug someone, or give someone a pat on the back, you are lucky because you can give someone. If you read this, you are double lucky because someone thought of you, and also because you are able to read this while 2 billion people can't read at all. Thank you for having given me the opportunity to share this important message with you. Let us remember how fortunate we are. Let us finish this webinar with a grateful attitude.
Thank you so much,
Going
Nils Erik.
from inner peace to outer peace. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Nils Erik, and thank you to the attendees as well. We will upload this recording, and please, we encourage you to fill the form of feedback beneath the recording on the ICC Summit website, so we know what you think about it. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon again.